World Eaters vs Necrons 3000 points. The World Eaters deployed first with spread-out units behind cover. The Night Abominant deployed behind a building but was still able to shoot over it. Scarbrand and the 8-bound were set to deep strike turn 2 and were ready to chew through some robots. Nidkiller 3000, the proud Leviathan dreadnought of the World Eaters warband, stepped out of cover while running for the next building. However, World Eaters rolled for objectives that they just simply could not obtain. The enormous Volkite Decimator vaporized 2 Necron Tomb blades in a volley of superheated energy, melting them into scrap. Necrons started with a barrage of Gauss and flames. One squad of Jackals were obliterated by flames from a Tesseract Arc. Nidkiller 3000 was peppered with Gauss rounds and sadly was immobilized. Scarbrand deep-striked on the flank of the Necron force with the terrifying 8-bound warriors. Thankfully, the mirage of warping into reality saved them. The Night Abominant marched along the table edge to avoid the Necron Tesseract Arc and began shooting at the threat. One squad of Berserkers ran forward to contest an objective that a Necron Tombblade was holding. The other 2 squads of Jackals held the backline objectives, while the last Berserk squad ran down the middle of the board to assist the Jackals if need be. The only melee at this stage was the Night Abominant against the Necron Tesseract Arc, where the Night Abominant did more damage than he received. The Necrons responded with more charging than shooting. A squad of 3 Necron Immortals contested the objective that one squad of Jackals were holding. Trashcan and his Lichguard squared up against Scarbrand and the 8-bound, a fight that would last almost all game. Trazyn called out a challenge to the 8-bound champion, a battle Trazyn was not fully expecting. Thankfully, the Master of Possessions was able to boost their demonic resistances, which in turn allowed them and Scarbrand to withstand the devastating Xeno blades. Dominance was evenly matched, with both sides needing to secure the enemy deployment zone. The Jackals were not faring so well against the 3 Necron Scorpek destroyers, but were holding. The Berserkers ran up to assist them in holding the Necron Scorpeks from coming behind the Chaos Knight. The other squad of Berserkers killed the lone Necron Tomb blade and turned their attention to the Lichguard, but ultimately could not make the charge and would die to the Necron response. The Chaos Knight broke from combat with the Tesseract Arc after shooting himself with his Volkite weapon and turned his attention to the Necron destroyers. It managed to kill a few with his gun before charging into combat with the Lichguard. The melee attrition continued to ground on with no end in sight. The 3 Scorpeks were still tangled up in combat with the Jackals and Berserkers. The other Necron destroyers were a bad matchup against the Knight and dealt no wounds, while the Knight managed to kill one. The attrition match was still ongoing, but the 8-bound were dwindling down because the Necrons kept reanimating. Scarbrand kept getting injured, refusing to let the 8-bound have the glory of the inevitable kills for his master. The Necrons were leading the overall strategic dominance. The Master of Possessions melted his own brain in the process of feeding the demonic energies tying Scarbrand to this world. The 8-bound were on their last wounds but managed to survive combat a while longer. The Knight broke combat with the Lichguard and destroyers, managing to kill a few destroyers with his gun before charging them again and wounding few with his Mechondrites. The Necrons were able to secure the battle when they managed to kill 80% of the 8-bound and Scarbrand, banishing him back into the warp. The Knight survived the whole battle with mostly intact and was ripped back into the warp to fight for his god another day, whether he wanted it or not. This battle was the first test of our 8-bound. Scarbrand's revision worked wonderfully well, and the new cultist upgrade with chain weapons from the Jackal datasheet ran very well also. This battle report was submitted by one of our newest members who has been an excellent help in play testing our Chaos Rough Draft Codex to help get it to a good polished state that we can publish in an easy-to-read format. We appreciate Travis and his hard work and dedication to grinding through our old Codex format and look forward to playing more with him.